I have really large breaking news. I mean, this is it's going to be paradigm shifting for a lot of the people that watch this channel. Maybe I'm accompanying you for lunch. I don't know. That paradigm shifting news is that I did, in fact, go for a run yesterday. I went for a run for nearly 6 miles, a little over 5.5 miles worth of running. Now, I know that a lot of you will believe that this is some sort of convoluted conspiracy theory. I totally get that. But I do have a Strava where I upload my runs to prove that they actually happened, along with, and it's not just me saying this, I believe the New York Times review also said this, a particularly sexy and seductive collection of pictures to accompany each of those runs. I'm not going to link it or anything. You got to be enterprising enough to find it. But it does prove that I ran yesterday. So I ask you, very humbly, from the bottom of my heart, to take one day off from the running jokes, because I did run. And as a result of that running, I will now probably go acquire my cheat meal of the week, a Five Guys. But only after we discuss the story, a cheat meal of the week. Now, you can't eat more than one burger a week, but every once in a blue moon, I'm American. I'll slip into a coma if I don't have a burger in enough time. Anyways, the actual thing that we came here to talk about, which, well, it was the running. But the other thing that we came here to talk about is this guy, Darwin Machis. He is a Venezuelan footballer who's played in La Liga for a long time. But he might hold something that I believe may be a record, right? Like this should be impossible, what we are about to discuss today. But he actually holds a very, very unique distinction. He's 32 years old, 5'7", plays on the wing, right? Pretty classic power league, top 5 league, lower team winger, right? Just a guy that is obviously very good and very skillful, but doesn't have the skillfulness or the goodness to be able to make a move to a bigger club and try and actually make a go at this whole thing, right? And he's had a long, winding career, right? He starts out in Venezuela, then gets a move to Granada, and then spends 6 years there while loaning out to Portugal and other teams in Spain. And then he goes to Italy for a year, and then they loan him back to Cadiz. And then he comes back to Granada. And this is where he finally kind of sticks the landing. At the age of 26 years old, he signs with Granada, and he plays very regularly for them for a couple of years. But we have yet to reach the point at which we are going to see Darwin Machis become a part of footballing history, become a distinct, a unique individual in the history of football, okay? And that is at the end of his tenure with Granada, okay? 93 appearances, 16 goals, very good career. He joined them right after they got promoted to La Liga and kind of managed to help hold them up. He scored goals against Real Madrid. He scored goals against Barcelona. The problem is, if we go to the La Liga table in 2022, you can go to the bottom and you will see Granada. They get relegated by a point and one on the goal difference to boot. Painful final day relegation where if they'd been able to win their match instead of draw it, they would have stayed up. But it was a good couple of years for Darwin Machis. Okay, and then Darwin Machis decides to move. He actually does something very interesting. He goes and plays at Juarez. He leaves Granada, and he plays at Juarez in Mexico over the summer. He basically just skips town and decides to go stay fit in Liga MX, and then he signs on with Real Valladolid. Real Valladolid, a team that is in La Liga. Now, if you look at this table right here, you will notice that they were not in La Liga at the time. There's something of the Norwich City of Spain. They've been promoted into La Liga, and so for the next La Liga season after this relegation, he decides to join Real Valladolid. And he has an all right season, 11 appearances. I mean, the guy's playing in La Liga, okay? The problem is, in that season that he's hanging out with Real Valladolid, guess where they finish? Right here. 18th. Same thing, actually. They finish 1 point off, where if they'd managed to win their final match, they would have stayed in the league. They lost their last 2 matches, in fact, to allow Almeria to stay in La Liga while Valladolid goes back down. So, I mean, he's not part of these teams that are absolutely diabolically bad, right? He's part of these teams that are just bad enough to get relegated. So he goes to Real Valladolid from Granada and gets relegated for a second straight season. Now he's continuing his successful international career, which is still ongoing at the moment. 52 appearances for a Venezuelan national team that is currently on the hunt for a spot at the World Cup. But he wants to stay fit. He wants to stay sharp. And so he gets a loan to Cadiz for the 2023-2024 season. Now, you'll also notice, looking at this, Cadiz is in La Liga. They're in 14th currently in the league, although they were just rather scarily only 2 points ahead of the relegation zone that eventually Real Valladolid fell into. But Machis, he's too good to go play down in the second division, so he he gets loaned out to Cadiz, where he makes 21 appearances and scores 4 goals over the following season. The issue for Machis is that Cadiz then gets relegated in 18th, making it 3 straight seasons that Darwin Machis has been relegated from La Liga in 18th position. This time he was a more regular appearance maker than he was at Valladolid the year before. Maybe that contributed to a bit more of a gap here, right? There's a lot less points than Valladolid had the previous year, right? They had 40 points. It's tough to get relegated with 40 points in a 38-match season. This time, Cadiz produces 33 points, but they do finish ahead of Almeria and Granada, his former team, and so maybe he's just slowly moving up in the world. But for a third consecutive season, Darwin Machis has been relegated. So he cancels his loan, and he heads back to Valladolid, because guess what? They're the Norwich City of Spain. So what did they do when they were in the second division? They got their ass promoted right back up to the top division. And I think you can probably see where this is going, because if you know anything about the Spanish league this year, you know Valladolid has been a hot, steaming pile of ass. They are terrible, and they have been relegated in 20th position, while Machis has made 5 appearances and has been a registered part of the club. Meaning, Darwin Machis has been relegated from the Spanish league for 4 consecutive seasons. To which my response is, brother, you've got to let it go. I don't know what his concern is here, right? He's clearly manipulating his career. Granada gets relegated. He leaves to Valladolid, who just got promoted. Then they get relegated. He goes on loan to Cadiz because he's still under contract to Valladolid. Then he goes back to Valladolid when they get re-promoted. Like, he is going to play for Venezuela even if he's in the Spanish second division. Right, and now he's pushed this to the point where he's not even really playing. He's made 5 appearances all year. There were transfer rumors about him leaving in January, but honestly, you might want to just ride this one down to the second division and see if you can play more with Valladolid or find another club, because I know what he's doing right now. I know what my boy's doing right now. He's picking up the phone. He's trying to get on the phone with Alaves, Girona, Sevilla, Valencia, Espanyol, Getafe. He's trying to get on the phone with these clubs right here to see if he can find a way back into the league. You know what he's doing? He's trying to look at, hold on. I haven't looked at the Spanish second division, but he's trying to call Elche. He's trying to call Levante. He's trying to get in touch with these teams that it looks like they're going to get promoted back up. All right, and he is trying to get himself into La Liga, but honestly, do you want to sign him? This guy is the kiss of death. I wouldn't want to bring this guy onto my team if my life depended on it. If I'm getting promoted into La Liga, I don't care how talented or not talented Darwin Machis is. I don't want to sign him, because who has been relegated from a league 4 years in a row? If I were him, and obviously I'm not somebody anywhere near the talent of this guy who's been able to play in La Liga for what is now like 7 straight years, much of his own doing, right? But been able to play in La Liga for 7 straight years. I would want to play. Go somewhere. You're telling me there isn't a team in Switzerland, there isn't a team in Austria that couldn't really use a guy with this kind of creativity and technical ability and experience at the top level, where maybe, every match day isn't so intense that he is not as relevant anymore, but he's just made the executive decision that he wants to play in La Liga, and that's the only thing that matters to him, that you're just going to be a La Liga player. And honestly, the more I talk about it, the more I kind of respect it. If you want your goal as a professional player to be, I'm playing in La Liga as long as possible, this guy and his agent have basically turned it into a game of Monopoly to try and stay there. But congratulations to Darwin Machis for his 4th consecutive relegation. We're going for the Fab Five next year.